Let us for a few moments concentrate on Sri Ramakrishna and pray for the well-being of the whole humanity. Shanti Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat Om Stavakaya Jadharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Yate Namah Asato Madadgamaya Tamaso Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Sri Ramakrishna said to the devotee that the mind of a worldly person is like muddy water, but it can be made clear by purifying agent. Discrimination and renunciation are the purifying agent. So Sri Ramakrishna is laying a firm foundation for spiritual life. The first important practice is discrimination. We have discussed this topic in the previous classes. The second important practice to be done is renunciation. Both of them are very important to maintain your spiritual level. Otherwise, it is extremely difficult to pull yourself out of the tentacles of the world. So you will be freed from the worldly pulls and temptations. You will be able to shift your life from the world to the spiritual, from worldly aspiration to spiritual aspiration. Worldly aspiration makes you more worldly. Spiritual aspiration makes you more spiritual. It requires lot of willpower, strength to practice spirituality. A true spiritual seeker likes to be in solitude. It's a stage before you actually step into the practice of renunciation. It is basically an inner solitude in which one is separated from all worldly values. It is not so easy to know and feel that you are alone. There are a number of factors that prevent you from feeling your aloneness. There are relations, there are friends, there are colleagues, there are superiors, there are subordinates, etc., 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 and even enemies. So, you feel connected to them in one way or the other. Besides all this, you may have your domestic pets. All these things have become a part of your life. Even if you separate yourself from others physically, you cannot be alone. The real problem is in the mind. And the simple fact is that your mind doesn't want to be alone. That's the position. So, to realize your aloneness, all the factors that prevent you from doing so must be negated. Some people realize that all the so-called relationships in this world are superficial, and all identification of any sort with any living or non-living thing is plain delusion. Sometimes this realization comes spontaneously, even from an early age, due to the power of samskaras from previous life. In a few cases it may come suddenly, and overnight the person's life gets a new orientation. There was one well-known saint in Bengal. His name was Lal Baba. I have seen that ashram, very big ashram in Calcutta. He was a rich man. He was suddenly awakened from a stray remark he heard on the roadside. That was enough to awaken him to the reality. He realized that in spite of all his wealth and achievements, his life was a big zero. All the values he held dear until then vanished. He realized that inner solitude is very important. So he gave up his belongings, settled down in Vrindavan, and became one of the great saints. There is another incident. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great incarnation, who was advocating the path of devotion among the people, he took a pilgrimage to the south. He came to a devotee's home. That devotee was very devoted to God. He was very regular in his worship and devotional practices. He had only one son. His name was Gopal Bhatt. A very good, austere Brahmin family. The boy grew up with wonderful samskaras. He would watch his father all the time engaged in some kind of spiritual practices. And the boy had inherent very good samskaras. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that boy, he made a remark. This boy would become a great saint. Then, after a few days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the place. The father was little worried because he was so much attached to his son. His whole being was in the son. Just as Sri Ramachandra, Dasharat Mahaprabhu, Dasharath was so much attached to Sri Rama. When Rama went to the forest, he could not tolerate anymore the separation. He died. The attachment was so intense. Here, the father wanted to guard the boy. So he employed special guards to watch the movement of the boy so that he may not run away. And father also was keeping watch over him. But the boy, from the day he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became overwhelmed with devotion. He became restless to realize the truth. And he was waiting for an opportunity to get out of the home, get out of all these attachments, pull out from this world. So, one midnight, all of them were asleep. Even the guards who were supposed to watch the boy, they were also sleeping. The boy left the home. He was walking through the forest. His idea was he had to go to Vrindavan. On the way he felt hungry. What to do for the food? The boy was crying to get the food. Just then, an old man came towards him. Well, my boy, where are you going? This forest is so big. Anyway, I am also walking in this same forest. I am also going out of this forest. So, both of us can go together, no problem. Here is the food, take the food. He gave the food. The boy was very happy. He got the food and the boy was happy. The old man is accompanying him in the forest. They walked through some distance and then the boy asked that old man who he was. Then the old man replied, I am the one whom you are praying for every day. You are repeating God's name. You are offering your devotions to Him. I am that person. The boy suddenly became indrawn. Then he asked, how is it? How is it? My God is beautiful to look and very handsome. And he is having a flute on his lips. But you are an old man. How can you say that I am repeating your name? When the boy said that, the old man laughed. And then he just appeared before him in the form of Lord Krishna. The boy was in ecstasy. Then Lord Krishna said, well, it's all right. You want to go to Vrindavan, go this way. You will reach the place. Then he disappeared. Then later on that Gopal Bhatt became very great saint. They're all recorded. It's not a fiction. It's a history. Everything is recorded. But such cases are not common. The majority of the people has to learn the hard way. It requires persistent blows from the world to awaken them to the reality of getting into aloneness. Maya, the inscrutable cosmic delusive power, manipulates things in such a way that every time you feel yourself alone, you are made to forget it somehow, and you carry on blissfully for a while until the next blow comes. The realization of being alone may also come as a result of discrimination and deep thinking. Everyone has the capacity to think, but not everyone utilizes fully this wonderful power. Even those that do think usually exercise the thinking faculty only on matters related to the objective universe. Their whole mind is sitting on something or other of the world. Very few turn this light of thinking inward and focus it on their own selves and ask fundamental questions. The simplest questions are the most profound. Where were you born? Where is your home? Where are you going? What are you doing? Think about these questions once in a while and watch your answers change. When these questions begin to rattle in your brain, the effect can be quite unsettling. Everything begins to slip through your fingers. All relationships, all possessions suddenly become hollow. They become meaningless. Great saints have always taught through stories and parables the superficiality and frailty of all worldly relationships. And if all this gives too gloomy a picture to you, just think how far and how long can all your relations, friends and well-wishers accompany you. When death calls on you, it is going to take you alone. No, not even one of your closest friends can or would like to accompany you beyond the portals of death. At the most, they may accompany your corpse up to cremation ground or to the graveyard and weep for a few days. The journey beyond is your own, to be done all alone. What will accompany you on this journey is your character. The power generated through righteous living. Manu, the great lawgiver, has said, Eka eva suhrid dharmo nidhane pyanuyati yah sharirena samam nasham sarvamanyati gacchati. Righteousness is the only friend that accompanies you after death. Everything else perishes with the death of the body. Whether the realization of being alone comes to you spontaneously or through some cataclysmic life-transforming incident, whether it comes to you gradually after getting repeated rebuffs from the world or as a result of discriminative thinking, the effect is the same. It cuts you off from the conventional stream of life in which most of the people seem to be sailing smoothly but unconsciously. Getting a glimpse of the inner solitude is the first effort of the soul to become conscious and to awake to the higher levels of reality. It is certainly a difficult period because You are coming out of conventional, unconscious stream of life, but have not yet entered the spiritual conscious stream. For a while, the aspirant appears to be just stranded. He is assailed with doubts, inner conflicts, and bouts of forgetfulness. This is because usually the realization of being alone is only partial. Former attachments and habits try to drag you back into the unconscious stream of the world. A tug of war ensues. Much depends upon your inner strength, your patience, your perseverance. If you are overpowered, back you go and fall into the stream of worldly life. Perhaps you make another attempt to get out, or perhaps you give up hope, surrender the memory of your aloneness, and float along merrily in the unconscious stream of life. But if you are a hero, and if you are determined to fight to the finish, you won't give up. There is nothing that a strong will cannot conquer. If you have the will to succeed, succeed you must. All hurdles gradually melt away, and your aloneness leads you to the next step, renunciation. So aloneness is to be well established, to make renunciation strong in yourself. We shall continue the same topic next Tuesday. Page 510. Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees rested a while. Narendra said to the master in a low voice, "Will you kindly sing that one?" Master said, "My voice has become a little hoarse." After a few minutes, he asked Narendra, "Which one?" Narendra said, "Gaur, whose beauty delights the world." Sri Ramakrishna sang, describing the beauty of Sri Chaitanya. "Who has brought Gaur to Nadia?" "Gaur, whose beauty delights the world." His face, covered with ringlets of hair, shines like lightning against a dark cloud. Again he sang, this time about the grief of a gopi at her separation from Sri Krishna. "I have not found my Krishna, O friend. How cheerless my home without him. Oh, if Krishna could only be the hair upon my head, carefully I should braid it then and deck it with bakul flowers. Carefully I should fashion the braids out of my Krishna hair. Krishna is black and black is my hair. Black would be one with black. Oh, if Krishna could only be the ring I wear in my nose, always from my nose he would hang, and my two lips could touch him. But it can never be, alas. Why should I idly dream? Why should Krishna care at all to be the ring in my nose? Oh, if Krishna could only be the bracelets on my arms, always he would cling to my wrists, and proudly I should walk, shaking my bracelets to make them sound, shaking my arms to show them. Down the king's highway I should walk, wearing my Krishna bracelets. The music was over. The master began to talk with the devotees. Master said smilingly. Hazra danced. Narendra, yes, a little. Master said, a little? Narendra, yes. His belly danced too. All laughed. Pandit Shashidar's host, had been thinking of inviting the master for dinner. Master said, I have heard that his host is not an honest man, he is immoral. Narendra said, that's why you did not drink the water he touched. It happened the first day you met Shashidhar at his house. How did you come to know he was immoral? Master said smilingly, Hazra knows of another instance. It happened at Sihor in Hridaya's house. Hazra said, the man was a Vaishnava. He came with me to see you, meaning Sri Ramakrishna. As soon as he sat in front of you, you turned your back on him. Master said, we learnt later that he led an immoral life. To Narendra, Sri Ramakrishna said, you used to say at first that these were all hallucinations. Narendra said, how was I to know? Now I see that you are always right. Adhar had prepared a feast for the master and the devotees, and now he invited them to the meal. The master said to the Mukherjee brothers, what, won't you eat? They said humbly, please excuse us. Master said, but why? You are doing everything else. Why this hesitation only about eating the meal? Adhar was a low caste Hindu. Therefore, some of the master's Brahmin devotees hesitated to eat at his house. They came to their senses at last when they saw Sri Ramakrishna himself eating. It was about 9 o'clock. The master was resting in the drawing room with the devotees. He would soon leave for Dakshineshwar. The Mukherjee brothers had arranged with a singer of Kirtan to entertain the master the following day. Ram was taking singing lessons from this musician. Sri Ramakrishna asked Narendra to come to Dakshineshwar to hear the Kirtan. Master said to Narendra, come tomorrow, won't you? Narendra said, I shall try, sir. Master, you can bathe there and also take your meal. Pointing to him, Sri Ramakrishna said, he may dine there too. Then he said to him, are you quite well now? I hope you are not on a diet. Yam said, oh no sir, I shall come. Nitya Gopal was living at Vrindavan. Chunilal had returned from Vrindavan only a few days before, and the master inquired about Nitya Gopal. As Sri Ramakrishna was about to leave, M saluted him, touching the master's feet with his forehead. The master said to him tenderly, then I shall see you tomorrow, Narendra Bhavanath. Please come tomorrow. Then with several devotees he set out for Dakshineshwar. The other devotees returned home in the moonlight, cherishing in their hearts the Master's ecstatic music and dancing. That concludes chapter 26. So, Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out discrimination and renunciation are the purifying agent. One has to practice them. All the spiritual practices are meant for purifying the mind. Once the mind gets purified, you get everything. So the very fact you are attached to the world shows mind is impure. The more and more you like to come towards God, it indicates mind is getting purer and purer. But the process has to be done vigorously. Otherwise, again it can be stained. It's not easy to keep the purity level. So, that is why it's always suggested that you should constantly seek the holy company. You must constantly watch your mind. Constantly watch your own self. Turn all your attention towards yourself. Make yourself perfect first. Then you will see the beauty of it. The vision of God, the realization of truth. Everything becomes possible only when the mind is detached from the worldly things. So, detaching oneself from the world, connecting oneself towards God is called renunciation. The whole mind power has to be used to maintain your spiritual aspiration till you reach the goal. Uttishtata jagrata prapyavaran nibodhata. Swami Vivekananda's famous statement of the Kathopanishad. Rise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached. You must develop that heroic attitude. Then only you will be able to achieve success in spiritual life. So, if you want to enjoy the benefits of spirituality, you have to dive deep into the spiritual life. That's what Sri Ramakrishna meant when he said, discrimination and renunciation are the purifying agent of the muddy water. The mind has become muddy, full of mud, full of dust and dirt, filth, on account of being in the world all the time. It has lost its shape. It has lost its originality. So, you can't avoid suffering. If you have to overcome suffering, you must raise yourself to the spiritual level. Any question to ask? So solitude is very important. Solitude. It's only when you are consciously feeling you are alone, you can focus properly on the spiritual idea. Solitude means getting inward, inner solitude. That's the meaning. So deep thinking leads towards inner solitude. That is, sometimes you will be in contact with the holy people, sometimes you will be in contact with the holy books. For example, library is there. So whenever you are free, you just go and read, and that's a holy company. Reading of books is a holy company. That's why it's a mandatory in our spiritual practices. Whenever you want to rejuvenate your mind, when you want to keep your mind in God, when you are to be free from the dangers of the world, etc., you must hold on to some spiritual ideas, read the books. And in all the ashramas in India, I have seen the orthodox mutts, even today, the dust will accumulate. Every day. So every day they read Vedanta, every day they discuss. In that process, what happens? Whole day they keep that idea in their mind. So their duties in the world, they are all secondary. The primary aspect of life is spirituality. You are able to give importance to that first priority. We are getting lost all these things. So we are suffering more and more because of that. Of course, that is true. But how many people can take suffering that way? Many people become depressed through suffering. Very few people learn through suffering. Suffering comes, there are two ways why the suffering comes. One way, suffering comes because of our imperfect or misdeeds. The second aspect of suffering is, suffering comes to purify your heart. So, it has got double effect. You don't have to suffer, but you should not be afraid of suffering. That's the spiritual outlook. Don't welcome, don't reject. That attitude. You are not bothered about whether it is there or not. That state one has to maintain. That's possible only when your faith, Shraddha, is strong. That's the point. Alright, we shall conclude. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge than is measuredness. Who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and Soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's beautiful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when the instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with his desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works be satisfied, for he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.